is a motorcycle enthusiast known throughout the biker community as Wolfmann. He grew up in the Dorchester area of Massachusetts and has been riding since he was 12 years old. He is a veteran of the U.S. Army and proudly served our country overseas in the theaters of Germany, Italy, and Panama. He retired from the U.S. Army and hung up his 1,000-yard stare to live a life behind bars, the handlebars of a motorcycle riding down the open road. His mission is to inform, educate, and spread his love of motorcycles and the joy of riding to bikers and non-bikers alike. His motto and creed is simply, it's not the destination. It's not how you get there, but instead, it's the people you meet along the way. In the wind, with the Wolfman. Let's ride.
Good morning, Biker Nation. This is In the Wind, and I am your host, the Wolfman. We're coming to you live from WSMN, 1590 AM, 95.3 FM, WSMN.live, Facebook.com/Wolfman with 3 N's at the end of it, and YouTube at In the Wind Radio. Today's sponsors is going to be Mayhem Inc. over here on West Pearl Street. Go down there, get some ink in your skin. We have Nashua Bingo, night out with the lady. It's a good night. They got great food, beer, and wine. Don't forget, they also have the electronic machines over there so you can run the slots. Then we have Nalt's Seacoast Indian Motorcycles, which this weekend they still have the Stock Bike Suck special. From now to the end of next month, 10 to 45% off of upgrades, Stage 1, Stage 2 kits, bars, windscreen cams, everything. Come sit with them and upgrade your bike and find out how much you can save. And oh yeah, they're going to throw in helmets with an extra 30% off savings. So go down there and see my boys down at Nalt's Seacoast Indian Motorcycle. Today's weather, it looks a little bit cloudy, but it's clearing up. We're going to have sun for the next 3 or 4 days in low to mid-80s. It's going to be great riding weather. We're all going to be out there riding, so make sure those bikes are polished so you can show off to the pretty ladies. On today's rally report, July 24th, we have the Combats Bike Night at High Octane Saloon, 6 to 10 p.m. July 26th, we have the Laconia Harley-Davidson ride for Greater Lakes Region Children Fun at Laconia Harley-Davidson. Stage time is 9 a.m. July 31st, Seacoast Harley-Davidson, July's last day rally, Seacoast Harley-Davidson at 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then in Massachusetts rallies, we have July 24th and 25th, the Yankee Chapter National Meet Antique Motorcycle Club and Club of America, Franklin County Fairgrounds. That's the AMCA. We have July 25th, Boston Harley-Davidson Beantown Cookout, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And that's what we got on the list for this week. And today we're going to be talking to a gentleman. He wrote this book. It's called First Bruno, Now This. He's from my old stomping grounds. You heard in the intro that I'm from Dorchester, Massachusetts. He's from the same area, Dorchester, Hyde Park. And somehow he migrated up here to New Hampshire. We always talk here, bikes and stuff like that. But one of the main things we talk about is the people that I meet while I'm riding my bike. This gentleman I actually met at work, which the company's name will remain silent because they don't pay my bills here. But we're going to introduce him now. His name is Ron Welliver. How you doing, Ron?
Great, Ray. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, did I say that right? Welliver?
That's right.
So let's get a little background on you first.
Well, I heard this was coming.
And I don't mean about how you were in the Spandau Ballet. So you were a Nashua police officer.
Yes, I got hired in December of 1979.
And how many years did you serve the city?
I did about 23 and a half years in Nashua. I retired, and as my kids were going to college age, I went to work for the University of New Hampshire Police Department and extended it for another 7 more years. And then I was the bail commissioner for the district court for another 10 years. So I had 41 years of law enforcement background.
And thank you for your service for the city of Nashua. That's one reason why the city is so safe. You know this, Nashua was voted last year one of the safest cities to live in?
Well, I've been out of this law enforcement in Nashua for 7 years now, so
well,
it has nothing to do with
me.
You
left a legacy. So we're going to talk about your book, First Bruno, Now This. Why did you write this?
It's funny. I had just to make a little background. My brother and I grew up in Hyde Park. which is probably about 10 miles from where you were in Dorchester. And early on, he would do these stupid things, and as a teenager, get in trouble, drugs, alcohol, the whole deal. And I'm going to talk. The book talks about some of the things he was involved in, and I saw how it hurt my mother. I mean,
Now, your mother's name was Claire.
Oh yeah, she was a wonderful, wonderful woman, and I saw how much he hurt her with the way he lived his life. Maybe that's why I went the other way and didn't do much of the things that he did. And over the years, I made notes. It's like someone tells me, "You hear what your brother did now?" He goes, "You can't make this stuff up." So I'd write it down over the years, all these little stories, the things that he did, and he just never learned. He never grew up, right to the day he died at age 68, which was about 5 or 6 years ago. And I made those little notes over the years. Each note had a story. And some of the stuff that I have in there, he told me. Some of the stuff his friends told me that would talk to me. Anyway, some of them wouldn't. And I made the book based on that. And off I went. And that's why I wrote the book. Is it nature or nurture? People would always ask me, why are you so different from your brother? And I didn't have an answer for them, Ray. And like I said, I never did those things. I never did drugs. And I got caught doing stupid things as a teenager, and I talk about that in the book. And I grew up, moved on, never looked back. And we're talking about my brother. God bless him. I mean, he was loyal. He did some, and I'll talk about that more also. He never grew up, Ray. He kept getting in trouble and doing the same things over and over.
Does anyone ever grow up? I mean, there's still a little kid inside of all of us.
What's funny, it's funny you should say that. One of the policemen I work with over the years, he said, being a policeman is an arrested state of adolescence. Because we did our jobs, and we go in the locker room, we'd have fun, we'd talk about things. And so, yeah, do we ever grow up? No, I always like to think I'm not as old as I am.
We're going to start at the beginning of your story. Now, your mother was Claire.
Yes.
She was a saint. That's what you said. She was a saint. Just like, what was it, Barbarino used to say? My mother's a saint.
Yeah, yeah.
and then you had Arthur Sr., who was your father, who was an alcoholic. And
Yes,
then,
he was.
And then your brother, Arthur Jr., Party Artie.
I'm glad to hear you say that. You read the book, Ray. Yes.
I read the book
His
cover to
nickname
cover.
was Party Artie back in the...
I read the book cover to cover. And yeah, you said it was a 2-hour read. I don't read at normal people's pace. It took me about 3-4 days. I read slow. I read a few pages at a time.
Well, the thing
so it can get in my head.
On that note, Ray, when the people that are in the book, a lot of my friends that lived through this, they couldn't put it down. They read it in one night because they knew all the players. When you don't know the players, I've had friends read it. They had a tough time staying engaged.
It seems fictional to one point because I grew up in the same neighborhood. I know names like this. You know, we had a lot of people in my group because, again, we hung out in groups of neighborhoods or churches, like you said in your book, that a lot of it was based on the church area that you lived in. I mean, I lived in St. Peter's for a while up by Mathis School, and I lived down by the Grover Cleveland Elementary. I lived on Wichita Terrace out in Milton. We moved around a lot.
And I went to high school in Dorchester at Boston Technical High School, right down the street, Dorchester-Roxbury line.
I actually went to high school at East Boston High, and a lot of people from Dorchester was at that East Boston. But that's another story for another day.
That's another day.
So you're growing up. You're a young kid in a household of a drunk, a saint, and a wayward brother.
Well, there's actually one. I didn't mention my grandmother. You see, when my grandfather passed, when I was like 3 years old, maybe, and we were going from apartment to apartment from what I can remember. We moved in with my grandmother at 40 Faraday Street. And she lived downstairs, and the boys were all upstairs. And so my grandmother was right there, stayed out of the problems until she couldn't take it anymore. And I didn't write about that. I left her out of the book. To do it over again, I would probably mention her because, God, I loved her. I was heartbroken when she passed.
And she passed before your parents?
No, my father passed away in 81. He committed suicide. and my grandmother passed in like 95. I actually remember the date because I ran the Boston Marathon in 95. And the only reason why I did that is because I promised my grandmother when I was 7 years old, I go, someday I'm going to run that race. And I knew she wasn't doing well. So I got on my horse and I trained for the marathon and I ran it in 95, and she died a month after I finished.
But she saw you run it.
Well, if she could, she wasn't really cognizant.
Yeah.
She was at a nursing home at the time. And I took a video camera to the nursing home, brought my number in, and said, I trained and I worked for this. I did this for you. And I gave her a kiss. And all she could do was bum, 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 bum. She sang. They say that music is the last thing to go.
Yeah.
You know?
I hope not. I love music.
And
we were discussing that out in the green room, and that isn't green.
Yeah.
You know, all the instruments I play. But
anyway, when she passed a month after the marathon, I said, well, I got to do it again in her honor. So I did it in 96 also.
So you ran it twice?
I did.
No, you know, and one thing that ticks me off the most about the Boston Marathon, when was the last time you saw a Bostonian win the marathon?
Bill Rogers, way back when, back in these.
That's before they allowed
70s.
everybody else in. You know, and it's the Boston Marathon. Just leave it to it. We wouldn't have such a big crowd if it was just the Boston Marathon for the Boston.
You probably wouldn't get the big crowd because the great elite runners bring in the people. I mean, they run it in 2 hours and 5 minutes now.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
So let's get back to your story. So how old were you when you first noticed your brother doing bad things?
I was probably 8 or 9 years old, not really realizing what's going on.
And your brother was how many years older than you?
5 years, about 5 years.
Okay, so he's about 13.
Yeah, and
that's when we all go off the beaten path.
14 or 15, he started drinking. He'd go right to the hard stuff. And I remember him, I didn't know what was going on. My mother was all upset. My brother was, I didn't know what drunk looked like. I mean, I see my father sitting in a haze every night. I thought that was normal. And my brother got really hammered. And she just really, she was hurt, and she beat the heck out of him. I mean, slapping him around, and it got all the things he did wrong all his life. He never touched my mother. No violence in the house, me or my mother.
Oh, today's youth are totally different. You see them smacking around them. I saw a video the other day of a bunch of kids jumping on a cop. It's like, where'd the respect go?
Yeah.
You know, just they don't know how to socialize.
Yeah, it's I don't know where it's gone, but yeah. So I saw him at a young age doing things like that, and I'm like, wow, I'm never gonna do something like that crazy. And then he started hanging around the park. We had a Moynihan Park. It was right there, right across the street from my house, and I would play ball there all the time, and football, baseball, hockey, street hockey down, the whole deal, and I started to see some crazy things coming from him, and he loved to steal, and he just stole everything. And he did it for attention. I really think that, Ray. And maybe we were trying to get attention of our father, who didn't. After age 8 or 9, I don't remember ever having a conversation with him. I don't remember him teaching me right from wrong. There was nothing there, and that's all I knew. And I'm getting off on a tangent, Ray. So
no, that's
go with your
okay.
next
Keep
question.
going. Because, I grew up in the same area. And I know the streets can be harsh out in the Dorchester area. You either go with the flow and join the crowd, or you create your own crowd and stay away from that crowd. How hard was it for you to stay away from the same crowd that your brother was hooking up with?
I found it very easy. I just kept, first of all, a great group of friends. I mentioned them in the book and we were all athletic. We played ball. We kept out of trouble, and as we got older, none of my friends, the guys I hung around with, did any hard drugs. Yeah, there was alcohol involved, and usually
Didn't we all?
Yeah, I mean,
party in the park.
Yeah, and I think, and they didn't realize, and I mentioned them in the book, that they saved me, because my mom was great to me, don't get me wrong. She went to all my ball games, always been supportive, and she wasn't that "then I love you" type, and that just was her. She showed it in other ways. And but after age 9, for some reason, I couldn't get anything out of my father, and I didn't realize it because I said that was normal. And so I'll get into the crazy things he did. Why don't you go to your next question, Ray? I guess we'll stay on point here.
Do you think that your brother protected you from that element?
No.
You don't think he protected you from all the drugs and the alcohol? Like, hey, that's my brother.
He tried to give me drugs when I was
Did he really?
in my young teenage. I want no part of it. He'd give me a beer when I was 14. I'm like, you gotta have the beer. Just guzzle it down. And we were in a car. I never forget this. On the way to the Cape, he had his girlfriend next to him, and he's got a beer on the seat of the car. She's drinking, and they gave me a beer. I don't know what to do. I took a couple of sips. All of a sudden, he's laughing and joking. And car stops in front of us, jams on the brakes, slides sideways, slams into the car. The beer pours all over his pants. I'm 14. I'm like, well, what is going on here? Thank God nobody was hurt. And when the car went sideways in the left lane, I saw a car coming right at me. He could have killed me. And when he gets out of the car trying to exchange information, there's a big wet spot. It looks like he peed himself.
But it didn't smell that way.
Oh, no, it didn't. And the cops came, did their accident report, and everybody went on their way, and that was the end of it.
Yeah, it's surprising the difference between police officers today and police officers yesterday, because they'd come in and break up the party, and you know, if you were out of line, they'd smack you around a little bit and then bring you home to your parents, who'd smack you around a lot of it.
Funny you should say that. We dealt with the Metropolitan Police way back then.
Michael Dukakis' police.
Yeah, the Mets. And personally, I thought they were pretty cool guys. I talked to my brother's friends. They didn't like them. They thought they were corrupt. And I'll get into a little story. They would catch the kids drinking in the woods, my brother's gang. And
I read this in the book.
They take the beers. And, I didn't write about this. Sometimes they get in the police car with the beers, and they go, "Thanks for the beers, fellas," and they'd laugh. And they saw them drinking in the cruiser, which I worked in Nashua. To drink in the cruiser, you've got to be out of your mind.
There was no cameras back then.
No, and I'll get into a little story there. So they got the guy. My brother got tired of this. So my brother's in his 20s, and he asked these 16-year-old kids went to him. They go, "Hey, Artie, hey, Wells, hey, how you do?" Everybody looked up to him like he was a god, because you needed booze, you needed drugs, you needed credit cards, whatever you needed, a fake ID, he's got them all. They go, "Can you buy for us?" And they went down the package store. They called it the Packy.
That's only in Massachusetts.
And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I'll buy you a case of beer on one condition."
I remember
What
it in
is
the
it?
book.
"What is it?" And they go, "Okay, I want you to buy. I'm going to buy bottles, and I want you to put them on ice and go in the woods. Let the Mets catch you." "But Artie, we don't want to get caught." No, just listen to me. Let the Mets catch you, and every beer you drink, you relieve yourself in that bottle and put the cap back on and put it back on ice. Keep track of where your beers are and where they're not. So they will be coming eventually. So they must have urinated in probably 8 or 9 bottles of beer. So when the Mets came, those kids ran in every different direction.
And they got the beer.
They went and grabbed the beer. And you know what's funny about this story? Did you think, "Oh, I bet you the Mets drank the beer"? Well, I found out just recently, but within the last year, my friend Paul Swan knew one of the Mets lived in his neighborhood. And the Met guy said, he goes, "Yeah, do you hang around Moynihan Park?" And then Paul said, "No, I don't know what you're talking about." He goes, "Those kids down there, son of a..."
Mm-hmm. Watch your language.
He goes, "Yeah." He goes, we were drinking urine one night after work. And I also found out, and I didn't write this in the book, because I found out a lot of stuff after people read it, that the Mets were waiting. They found out my brother was involved in this. They waited for him, and about 3 or 4 cruisers pulled up. They got out, and they were beating him senseless up at the park at the corner of Washington Street. And
Well,
Needham
he was
Avenue.
laughing the whole way.
No, he got roughed up pretty good, and that's unheard of nowadays.
Yeah.
This is the way it was. And one of the parents, Peter Savoli's parents, Lefty, one of the great parents we had on Faraday Street, he saw it. He goes, "Hey guys, that's enough. You made your point." And they got in their cruisers and left. And they left him, pretty beat up. And but he goes, he told me, he goes, "It was all worth it."
Yeah, definitely.
Knowing
was
that
worth
they
it.
drank that.
Yeah, knowing and having that in your head for the whole day, and every time you see that guy, you just laugh in his face.
Later on, when I became a policeman, Ray, though,
I
we
know.
braved these in the woods, and I thought twice, no,
I don't want any
we
of
tag
those
it as
bit-
evidence, or you leave it
Yep.
and dump it. And
Yeah, because you remember that story from what
I
happened.
remember that.
We're not condoning this, but it was very funny.
Oh, it's hilarious. Not to those cops, it wasn't. But you know what? Like the cops I dealt with when I was down there, they would watch us play softball on Sunday nights. and no one had a key to the lights. We kicked the door in and we put the lights on. They never bothered us. We closed the door up when we were done, and they would come up and watch us play softball. Nobody was drinking. We just all the athletic kids were all playing, and once in a while, they'd see somebody they're looking for with a warrant. They'd chase them right through the field and tackle them in the outfield.
And that's okay because he had a warrant.
Yeah.
So let's get into nicknames because everybody had a nickname in Dorchester. I remember growing up, everybody had a nickname. Party Artie, A. Wells, that was your brother.
Yep.
How many other people?
Oh,
I know there's
40
a
or
list.
50 I mentioned in the book. And most of the nicknames had a little story behind them. I was
Right.
Ducky.
You was Ducky.
And
Why?
I'm Ducky right till now. You're the Wolfman.
Yeah.
I'm Duckman. And
Why did they call you Ducky?
oh, that's a great story. It goes back to about first or second grade. And we were all standing around the Faraday Street. And I forgot who made it up. And Paul Swan, when I met him last year for lunch, reminded me of who did it. But we're all standing around, and they said, what do they call you in school? You know, Bob was Robert, and, Jim was James. And I said, Ronald. And my friends, and they're all older than me, a year or two, like 2 years, but a year in school, because I went to school young. They thought I said Donald. Oh, Donald Duck. And, the kid named Dick Conti, who was a new kid on the street, they go, Donald Duck. And they all started laughing. And they would call me Donald Duck, and I'd cry, and I'd fight. And I'd come out the next day, and it was Donald Duck again, and Donald Duck again. The next day, I'd be fighting and crying. So after about a week, my mother said, don't worry about what they call you. So I thanked my friends. I learned how to fight a little bit.
Yeah.
And I learned how to, sometimes you got to take stuff. And then when my nickname stuck, and I was Ducky.
See, that's the problem with bullying today. There's no bullying anywhere. How are you going to build character? I always believe bullying builds character because it teaches you survival.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Ray. I saw a lot of bullying. We had some really tough kids. Not necessarily in my group. There was some tough ones there. But from the projects, I mean, these guys, I saw them bullying people, and I made it my life's work to protect people from that type of no-nonsense bullying. And I like, you'd walk by the project kids. If you look at them, it says, what are you looking at? If you don't look at them, what are you, too good to look at us? Yeah, so you say hello and you move on. And because you never know when they were just going to swarm you. And was bullying good in a way? Sometimes it makes a man out of you, yeah. So you learn to stick up for yourself. And when you stick up for yourself, they won't bully you anymore. And I believe that.
Right, and that's why these kids today, everything's anti-bully. They're not getting the full aspect of growing up. Starting with COVID, when everybody was closing the doors, they lost their social skills. Wearing the mask, they lost their identity. All these things build character till you turn into a police officer.
Yeah, until bullying
or a Wolfman.
until it gets out of hand.
Yeah.
But it did build character, and a lot of the people, as we grew up, we forgot about that. We forgave them.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, how are you? Good to see you. I had your guts when I was younger, but now you gain respect. And I didn't gain respect from those bullies, the tough kids, fighting them back. I avoided the fights.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't back down. They never really got in my face for a number of reasons. They were afraid of my brother, was one of them. He was crazy. He was he had knives and guns and weapons and brass knuckles and all that. And the other reason was, and when we played ball together, we played football in Pop Warner football. I was the quarterback. I got him the ball, and they liked me. They didn't want me. I really wonder why they didn't just, okay, when is it my turn to get the butt kicked? And so I was lucky like that. I came out of it unscathed, put it that way.
Guess who's watching the show?
No idea.
Kelly.
Kelly Paquin.
Yes.
Kelly Paquin is
watching. We got to say
watching.
hi to Kelly. Hi, Kelly. We also have Brains is watching. Mama Wolfman is watching. Mike Poulan is watching. It's amazing. My listener group, they always tune in every week, and I love them for that, and so thank you guys. So first of all, before we get back to the book, tell people how they can get your book.
Oh, the name of the book?
No, where they can get it, where they can buy it.
Oh, if you want to buy the book, it's you can go on Amazon bookstore. I like to tell people, go Rose Dog Books bookstore, Rosedog.com. Rose Dog, I should say. And I prefer people go to Rose Dog because Bezos takes 90% of whatever he can make on the book. I mean, I'm not going to make any money on this thing. And
yeah, you only get $2 a book.
Oh my God, yeah, $2 a book, and Amazon takes the other 9.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And now that's okay. I didn't do it for make money, Ray. I did it to get it all out. Some people said cathartic was the word that my brother-in-law used. It was very cathartic getting out. I go, you know what, Ray? After I finished this book, I realized I don't have to be ashamed of my family. I was ashamed for years. No, my friends didn't know my father killed himself back in 1981. They all came to the wake. They paid their respects like we all do for all our parents that have all left us over the years. And they never knew until they read the book. And they go, we had no idea. I said, you didn't ask. And if you did ask, I lied. I said, he died of heart failure, which wasn't a lie. Yeah. It's a half-truth. Yeah, his heart stopped.
Yeah, definitely. He took one in the head, right?
It weighed heavily. And it was a certain point in my life. I'm like, you know what? I don't have to be embarrassed anymore. It wasn't my fault. It wasn't anybody's fault. He was mentally ill. He was a severe drinking problem.
Your mother passed before he killed himself.
No, that was she passed before my brother died.
Okay.
My mother was still around. My mother was a trooper through the whole thing. She knew he was at peace.
In this book, there's a picture of your mother.
Yes.
Yeah, I was looking. You don't see this in any books. There's a whole bunch of pictures of your youth. There she is right there.
Yes.
And she's razzing you.
She's razzing me about something, probably about a girl or something. I don't know.
She got a smile on her face, and you're like, "Come on, Ma."
But you notice what's in her hand?
What was it?
She's got the head trimmers.
Oh, she's gonna cut your hair.
No, she did all the hedge trimming.
Oh.
She cut the grass when I did it most of the time. But after I got older and moved out, I got married and one of my own. My brother's sitting there sleeping till 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon sometimes, blowing off work. And she's doing the lawn. And later on, she had to pay my buddy who had a small lawn business. That's where I got the idea from anyway. And he still didn't do the lawn. He lived there till he was 52 years old. And when she sold the house at our beckoning because she couldn't keep it up anymore.
When she went into the nursing home.
And he's the first thing out of his mouth, there's a 52-year-old man. She sold the house right from under me. I go, Adi, you're 52. You still haven't, you don't get it. I mean, he's been riding her coattails, and she let it happen. And she always said, he's my son. What do you want me to do? If I don't help him out with money or with bail money, or we'll get into that, I guess.
Yep, we're going to get
into all that.
This is why I said I think I need you in here for 2 weeks.
And
we
sometimes
haven't even touched on everything yet.
Yeah, and sometimes I would, Ma, you got to stop doing this. He's my son.
Yeah, and she bailed him out over and over and over. Because there was gun charges, drug charges, stolen cars. I mean, he did everything.
Well, the thing is, and one of the things I'll never forget, there's a bunch of things I made a list of. I just never forgave him. I let it build up in me. She forgave him, moved on.
That's a mother's love.
He gets arrested. He was in cahoots with this mailman who's now passed away. His name is Mick from South Boston. And I don't know how he got in cahoots with him. He was involved with the mob over there. He was a small timer. And Mick, back in the 70s, remember when you got credit cards in the mail? Mm-hmm. Boom, you got it. It just start charging. Well, they do that anymore. There's checks and balances. Well, that was like, this is a freebie. Well, he gets a hold of Mick. Mick takes the credit cards out of the mail, gives them to Artie. And
Artie sells them, gives Mick a cut.
And then you got to give a cut to the mob too,
yep.
or you're going to have a problem.
That's Whitey Bulger's area, Southie.
Right, but he would walk around down the park. He'd have credit cards around his neck, and he goes, "Hey, anybody need one? You need one? What do you need?" He's selling for $20. Go order what you want, and he's just wide open about it. Well, somehow the police got involved. The feds got involved. He gets picked up, and they wanted to know, where you get these credit cards? Didn't tell him. And he gets arrested by the feds. He's looking at serious time. Bail is like $50,000 cash or surety. My mother puts up the house. Guess what? Arraignment time comes.
He didn't show up.
He never shows up. He gets traffic tickets. He throws them in the back of the car. That's the end of him. No way. Never paid a bill. Never paid a fine. My mother always bailed him out. I got I saved all the checks. I got them all. She saved them all. And so he doesn't show up in court. All of a sudden, one day, I'm sleeping. All of a sudden, bam, 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 bam. Like, what the heck was that? We go, well, the car's been shot up. Well, guess what? We found out that later on in life, it was a warning. Just in case you think about talking.
This is what could happen.
And my mother said the most famous words. Get up in the morning, the car's shot up. She looks at him, and I'm going to, can I use the H word?
You can.
You better stop whatever the hell you're doing. And that was the and then, but of course he took off.
But again,
now they're gonna take the house. This is the house my grandmother
grew up in
1915, and how can you just even think about doing that? Now they're foreclosing on the house. My mother calls Angelo Scascia, who's the local, and they went to bat for him, and somehow they put it off a little bit. Well, if he turns himself in, we'll see. He didn't turn himself in. They caught him in the combat zone, which is where he hung around with all the mob guys. Luigi's, owned by Johnny Monorato.
Yep.
And he hung out in there all night long. He's got to be at work at 7 o'clock. And they caught him in there. They chased him. Of course, my mother says, yeah, of course, they beat the crap out of him. I go, Ma,
what did
he
you
resisted
expect?
arrest. He ran. They fought. He swung. What are they not? I wasn't even a cop then. I'm like, what are they supposed to do? How are you going to? There's a big kid. He's probably 210 pounds, 6'2". And my grandmother lost her Hummel collection, which is worth $10,000. Now, God knows what it'll be worth. And I never forgave him for that.
And a coin collection.
Yeah, and I never forgave him for that. Right? I mean, how they forgave him? And
it's a mother's love.
Oh.
I could sit there and rob a bank with my mother as the getaway driver, and she would literally say, "Wasn't my son." That's a mother's love.
Yeah, that's true.
You can't get around that. Mama's going to protect her young no matter what.
And I had a stereo. I'll go to college, come back home. It's gone. What am I?
I needed money.
I'll get it back to you. I never got it. He sold it for a bag of weed. And going back to Mick is when my mother sold the house to move to her apartment in Wellesley. She, I'm going to buy your brother a truck. I go, Ma, don't do it. And so she did. $25,000. He picks out a truck. So he comes to me. He goes, yeah. He goes, since I don't have a license, because he's under suspension. She didn't know it. Maybe she didn't. She did or didn't. And he goes, I don't want to flag it and put my name on the registration. So I got this friend of mine, Mick. He owes me one. I'm like, what does he owe you? Why would he? So turns out Mick Walsh was the postman that he never.
Never. Yep.
He owes me one because I kept my mouth shut. He did 4 or 5 years of federal time over that. And this was, years later. So Mick would call the house and he'd talk to me. He goes, yeah, I go, Mick, don't do it. You got to get tickets. Do not register it in your name and let him drive this thing. He goes, I owe him. So he did. And guess what?
He got tickets and accidents.
Traffic tickets, parking tickets, threw them in the back. Mick's getting summonses in the mail. And then my brother liked to do junkin'. He called it junkin'. He'd ride around because nothing good happens after midnight is an old police saying.
I tell my wife that all the time.
Nothing good happens.
Nothing good ever happens.
My brother wrote the book on that.
Yep.
So he'd be riding around junking, picking up junk and going to cash it in. And, one night he looks and goes by a gas station in Quincy, which is near Dorchester. He sees all these nice carburetors from, I forget exactly what they were. But they were just outside. The guy hasn't put them in the shop yet. He takes them, loads them in the truck. Guess what? There's cameras there. Mick gets a visit from the detectives from Quincy.
Mick's arrested again.
So Mick goes and steals the truck and hides it from my brother. My brother comes to me. He goes, you're a policeman? I go, well, yeah, I am, Artie. What do you want advice on now? He goes, well, Mick stole my truck. I go, well, it's technically not your truck. It's in Mick's name.
Mick's name.
He goes, but by word on the street, it's my truck. I'm like, Artie, don't call the cops and say he stole it. Don't do that. And he ended up finding out where it is, stole it back.
Why not? Tit for tat.
It's just never ending with this guy.
It must have been really hard growing up in a household with a drunk father and a brother that was always doing stupid things. I mean, you go back to your younger days when you're in your mid to late teens, and you're always wondering, is my brother coming home? Did you ever feel like you was in danger from your brother in the house, like he was gonna hurt you?
No, not me. No, he never was violent towards me. He he was loyal, but like when I talk about the book when my friend drowned in a pool at a pool party, and no, my mother felt terrible because she loved Timmy, and I was devastated. Ray, you can imagine, 17 years old, this kid's going to go to college. He got a college scholarship for football. He was a rival quarterback on the other High Park High, and you think if your
Dad?
brother is so upset, you take your brother, you put your arm around him, you go, "Come on, we're gonna talk. Come on, we're gonna hang out. We're gonna." Thank God I have my friends because those are the guys that all of us got through it together, and I live with that to the day I die because we taught him to swim the day before the pool party, and he at Houghton's Pond in
Houghton's Pond,
Houghton,
my God.
by Blue Hills.
Yep.
And the last thing he said when we left the pond, he goes, "Hey, I can dog paddle. I know enough that I won't drown."
And he drowned.
Yeah, he drowned. Someone jumped on, and we don't know what happened. And but my point is, my father never said a word to me. Can you imagine? I'm like, my daughter had a friend die in a car accident, and it was like, "What do you need? We're here for you."
Right.
And there was nothing. So, did I have a hard time growing up? It was all I knew, Ray. I was kind of happy-go-lucky, actually. I was a jokester of the gang. I was, maybe I was getting my attention that way.
Well, remember back then, I mean, we were all latchdoor kids, latchkey kids. Your parents see you tonight, whenever. My mother was like that with me. My sisters weren't so they were more controlled. You're a boy, do what your boy does, and that's probably where your mother was. You boys, you're gonna have to grow up one way or another.
Yeah, boys will be boys.
Yep. It's amazing how the differences from today's kids to yes.
Well,
Today's kids don't even go outside the house.
There was a lot of pressure on me not to get in trouble, and I talk about it in the book. I went down we used to go on the Cape on weekends. Cape Cod. Everybody goes down the Cape Cod. Well, we and I make a long story short. We had a little tussle I think kids from Dorchester.
Of course.
At one of the clubs
rats.
down the Cape, and we got out of the club. We were outnumbered. It was like, oh, we're in trouble here. The kids are coming out, so I smashed a bench apart, grabbed a board to level the playing field a little bit. The policeman's right there. It got me for damaging property, and I remember I had to make the phone call to my mother. By that point, my brother's in his 20s. I mean, he was constantly in trouble, and I heard her, and it killed me that I had to call her and tell her that the first thing out of her mouth was, "Do not be like your brother." I can't. And it's crying her eyes out. And I heard her. And I felt terrible about that. Went to court, paid my fine, learned my lesson, and I never do that again.
Did you ever have any issues because of what your brother did? Like, did somebody come looking for you because of your brother? Or
No. It's funny you should say that because and I didn't write this in the book because I'd forgot about it. But one time, my brother owed a lot of money to a lot of people. We didn't know how much or where. One guy comes to the door and he's got a suit on and he is built like a refrigerator. And my mother goes, "Artie, someone at the door for you." And the guy whispers something to my brother. He goes out in the back porch. I guess that's where he hid whatever cash he did have. And he comes out with over $1,000, big wad of bills. Gave them to the guy, and the guy nodded and left. It was a leg breaker.
yeah,
He owed money to the wrong people, and I couldn't tell you who the guy was. I mean,
and even if
it wasn't
you did,
Stephen Fleming. It wasn't Whitey Bulger. I don't know who this guy was.
Yeah.
But he didn't have any problem paying him. Try to pay a traffic ticket or a bill.
he wouldn't do that.
Forget it.
They're not going to break his legs.
Yeah, and
Worst is going to happen is he's going to go to jail again. And guess what? He didn't have a problem with jail. He was in and out of jail. How many times did he go to jail?
Well, out of his 68 years, he probably did 18 or 19 years in jail, all for different stuff every time.
Was one the sneaker scam?
You really want to get into the sneaker one?
I do. I think it's kind of an amusing story. It's in this book. First Bruno, now this. And hopefully some of my listeners will buy it. All of my listeners will buy it. It's a short read. It's only a couple hours if you are a normal reader.
If you're engaged. If you're engaged in the
If you're like
story.
me, I have to literally read a couple pages, 4, 5, 6 pages, and then before it sinks in, I gotta close the book so it can sink in. Like when I was reading, I don't how do you say that word? I don't hold it in my memory or retain.
That's a
I don't. That's like the only thing in my world that I can't do is read and retain. I have to read and then sometimes go back and reread.
Well, I'm glad I got you that book 2-3 weeks ago, Ray. You have plenty of time to get it read.
It took me a while. I got to be honest. I have a very hard time retaining books.
Well, before
That's why
I get
I
into
watch
the sneaker
movies.
story, I guess no luck at all would be the way to put the story I'm going to say now. But when my father died back in '81, he was in jail. God knows what. I lost track of what he's in jail for.
Missed funerals.
So he missed my father's funeral. The sheriffs came, brought him in handcuffs to pay his last respects, and then he went back to jail. Fast forward to our mother passing away in 2005. Now, he was in jail, but for a reason. I'm going to get off on a tangent, Ray, if that's okay with you.
Tangent away.
All right. Well, before my mother passed, probably about 6 months before she passed, and she wasn't in good health. She was 69 years old. And my brother's like, okay, he's going to ride up the highway and go see his girlfriend. He's friends with the husband. She's got 4 kids. I don't know how relationships work in the street world, but this is his girlfriend. So he's driving up the highway on 93, drinking a beer, having a good time, pulls into a rest area, and there's a trooper there right at the end of his shift, right at 11 o'clock at night, doing his reports. So maybe he's starting out, maybe he's a midnight guy. He pulls up next to the cruiser, gets out of the car, puts the beer on the hood, starts going to the bathroom right in front of the cruiser and goes, hey, my brother's a cop. What do you know?
Arrested.
Like there's going to be some kind of like a joining of the worlds here. The guy gets out, lets him finish, go to the bathroom, takes him for DWI. He blows like a 1-0, calls me up and says, I'm getting screwed. You need to come get me. I'm like, whoa, what happened? Well, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I said, look, Adi, I'm not coming to get you. I said, no. He goes, you know what he says? Then I'm calling Ma.
Oh, God. Again, Mom. Mom bails him out.
And Mom is an hour and plus away. She's in bed. It's after 11 o'clock at night. I go, you son of a... You're going to call our mother to come all the way and get you. You spend the night in jail. I said, all right, I'm going to come and get you out. But I'm going to get you out. I'm leaving you right there. So my future son-in-law ended up driving me out there with my daughter, picked him up, threw him in the back of the van we had, let him lie back there. We could smell the booze. He goes, I wasn't. I'm like, I can smell the booze on you. I'm up the front of the car. I go, get out of the car. I dropped him off at a gas station on the exit ramp. He goes, I know the guy, and anyway, he's a friend of mine. I'm like, good. See you later. So, of course, doesn't show up in court.
Yep.
By the time he does go to court, the judge gets sick of seeing him. He got 6 months because of the suspended license, he was second, and all these other things going on. Goes to jail. 3 months later, our mother suddenly passes away. And now he's in jail for our mother dying. He was in jail for our father when our father died. And I'm going to get into the title of the book as I walk into the jail down the Billerica House of Correction. And nothing's easy with my brother. Nothing. I didn't know how to get in this particular jail. I know usually you have to wait, get a ride down in certain hours during the day. So my good friend Mark Fiddler, God rest his soul, he just passed away a year ago. I was so upset at my mother dying, he drove me down there. We go into Billerica. I walked in, and they look at me at the desk.